Welcome to Bamanda Podcast, your frontline source for smart, sharp, and straight talk on IT trends, tech truths, and digital transformation. Here is today's podcast in English.
Back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a topic that, well, feels like it's just absolutely taken over the tech world in the last 12 months.
Yeah, it really has.
If you've been online at all in, early 2026 or even just walked past a coffee shop in San Francisco or London, you've heard the term. It's arguably the dominant tech trend of the year so far.
Oh, without a doubt. It's unavoidable. I mean, if you look at GitHub, if you look at X, it is literally the only thing people are talking about right now.
We are, of course, talking about vibe coding.
Right.
And look, whether you are a seasoned developer with, say, 10 years of experience managing a massive code base, or someone who has literally never written a single line of code in your life, the barrier to building software has fundamentally changed. It feels like the walls they've just dissolved.
That's actually a great way to put it. The friction is gone, but when you remove friction, you sometimes lose traction too.
Exactly. And that is exactly what I want to get into today.
Yeah.
Because there is so much hype, but I feel like there's a hangover coming.
Oh, a massive hangover.
So our mission today is to figure out what is actually going on here. We're going to move past the marketing, and there is a lot of marketing, and look at the actual tools, the very real risks, and honestly, how you, the listener, can actually use this mindset without creating a total disaster.
Yeah, for sure.
And to help us do that, we are doing a deep dive into this really comprehensive guide by Bamanda Technology. It's titled Vibe Coding Mastery.
This guide is fantastic because it doesn't just look at the shiny new toys.
Yeah.
It actually looks at the psychology behind it. It treats this as a shift in human behavior, not just, a software update.
Right. So let's start at square one. Vibe coding. It sounds cool, maybe a little vague. Like, does it just mean coding with really good music on? What does it actually mean technically?
So at its core, vibe coding is an AI-assisted development practice. But it's fundamentally different from just using autocomplete or a standard chatbot. It's where you describe your idea in natural language, and those are the vibes, and a large language model, an LLM, generates the actual implementation. The critical shift here is that your focus moves entirely from the syntax.
Like the semicolons and brackets.
Exactly. The semicolons, memory allocation, all of that. Your focus moves from that to the outcome. You care about what the app does, not how it's written.
So you're shifting from being a writer to being more of an editor, or maybe even a director.
A director is a perfect analogy. You aren't holding the camera. You're telling the camera operator what to frame.
Okay, let's unpack this, because it sounds like magic, but I know there's a history here. It didn't just appear out of thin air this morning.
No, absolutely not. And to really understand it, we actually have to travel back exactly 1 year. February 2025.
Which feels like a lifetime ago in tech years.
It really does. So back in February 2025, Andrej Karpathy, he's an AI pioneer, co-founder of OpenAI, formerly at Tesla, he posts this tweet on X.
I remember this causing quite a stir.
It did. He says, quote, "There's a new kind of coding I call vibe coding, where you fully give in to the vibes, embrace exponentials, and forget that the code even exists."
Forget that the code even exists. That is a wild statement for a programmer to make. It feels almost heretical.
It totally is. It made a lot of traditional engineers very angry. But that's the philosophy. It's about entering a flow state where you aren't bogged down by the technical details. Karpathy described the workflow very simply. He called it see, say, run, copy, paste.
Say, run, copy, paste. Walk me through that loop.
Right. So you see the problem. Maybe your button's the wrong color or the data just isn't loading.
Yeah.
You say what you want in English, like make the button blue and fix the data load. You run the code the AI gives you.
And if it works?
If it works, great.
Right.
If not, you do not debug it yourself. You tell the AI to fix it. You aren't interacting with the code. You're iterating on the vibes.
I remember Karpathy saying something back in 2023, actually, even before he coined the term. He said, the hottest new programming language is English.
Exactly. And that sentiment is really the foundation of all of this. It's the democratization of software creation. If you can speak English, you can write Python.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me, because what you're describing is essentially software for one.
Yes. This is a massive economic shift.
It's the idea that a non-coder can build a real functioning app just for themselves. Or even a professional developer can finally ship that side project they've had in their head for 5 years, but just never had the time to write.
That's the aha moment for most people. It completely changes the economics of building things. Before, software was expensive to build, so you needed, a million users to justify the cost of the engineering team.
Right.
But if the cost of writing code drops to near zero, you can build software that only one person ever uses and it's still totally worth it. It's disposable software.
So that's the dream. Disposable, personal software. But we are living in 2026 now. The tools have obviously evolved since that initial tweet.
Oh, big time.
If I want to start vibe coding today, right now, what does that landscape actually look like? Because I assume I'm not just pasting into a ChatGPT window anymore.
No, the tooling has exploded and has become much more specialized. The Vibe Coding Mastery Guide breaks the landscape down into two main camps. You have tools for the complete beginner, the non-coder, and tools for the professional developer.
Okay, let's start with the non-coder. I have an idea. I have zero skills. I don't even know what a terminal is. Where do I go?
You are looking for what we call prompt-to-app platforms, and the big names right now are Bolt.new and Lovable.
Lovable calls itself your superhuman full-stack engineer. Right. That's quite a pitch.
That's the marketing, yeah. And honestly, it's not that far off for simple things. You go to these sites, you type in, I want an app that tracks my houseplant watering schedule and gamifies it so I get points when I water them.
That sounds like an out I need, actually.
Right. And in seconds, it builds the interface, the database logic, everything. You can run it right there in the browser.
That is wild. And I've heard a lot about Replit Agent, too. Where does that fit in?
Replit Agent is huge because it's not just about writing the code. It handles the environment. It handles the hosting and collaboration. It's essentially like having a DevOps team in a box. You describe the idea, and it sets up the server, installs the libraries, and deploys it.
So you don't have to touch the command line at all.
Not once.
And we can't forget Google. They've been pushing really hard on this.
Right. Google AI Studio and Firebase Studio, they're leveraging Gemini. And the key advantage there is the context window. Basically, how much information the AI can hold in its head at one time.
Right. Gemini has that massive context window.
Exactly. You can feed it a massive amount of documentation or context, and it can build a fully functional prototype backed by a real database.
Oh, and I want to briefly mention Vero by Vercel for the front-end aesthetics. It's amazing for just spinning up beautiful UI components instantly.
Yes, Veo is incredible for the visual side of things.
Okay, so that's for the dreamers who don't code. But what about the pros? The people who actually do this for a living? I assume they aren't using a make app button on a website.
Far from it. They need actual control. They're using AI-powered IDEs. An IDE is an integrated development environment, basically the software you use to write code. And the king of the hill right now is Cursor.
I hear about Cursor constantly. It seems like every developer I know has switched to it recently.
It's the most popular for a very good reason. It has this composer mode where you can make edits across your entire project just by describing what you want to change. It understands the context of all your files at once.
So you aren't just saying change this line in this file?
No, you say refactor the authentication system to use email instead of username, and it touches every single file that needs changing. It coordinates all of it.
So it's not just writing one function, it's refactoring the whole architecture.
Exactly. It understands the relationships between the files. Then you have Windsurf by Codium. This one is fascinating because it's known for being agentic. It actually learns your specific coding style.
Meaning what? It copies my bad habits.
Ideally, your good ones. But yes, if you prefer to structure your files a certain way, or you use specific naming conventions, Windsurf picks up on that. The more you use it, the more the code actually looks like you wrote it.
That's kind of spooky, but incredibly useful.
And we have to mention Claude Code by Anthropic. It's known for just exceptional reasoning capabilities, and it runs right in the terminal. And there are emerging tools popping up every single week, like Zed and Amazon Kiro, which are built from the ground up to be agent-first IDEs.
So the toolkit is massive, and it seems like everyone is jumping on board.
It's definitely mainstream. I mean, think about the timeline here. Karpathy coins the term in February 2025. By March, literally 1 month later, it's added to the Merriam-Webster dictionary.
That is fast. Usually tech slang takes years to get that kind of formal recognition.
It was Collins' Word of the Year for 2025. This isn't just internet slang anymore. It's the industry standard.
And I saw a stat in the source material about Y Combinator that blew my mind.
This is the one that really drove it home for me, too. By winter 2025, 25% of Y Combinator startups reported having 95% or more of their code generated by AI.
95%. So humans are barely even touching the code base at these startups.
Barely. The founders are basically acting as product managers and architects. They aren't typists anymore.
Yeah.
Even Linus Torvalds, the creator of Linux, who is famously skeptical and famously grumpy about code quality, he began using these tools for a project in January 2026.
Wow.
When you have Linus on board, you know the tide is officially turned.
So we have blazing speed. We have this creativity explosion because people aren't stuck on syntax. It sounds perfect.
It sounds perfect.
But I sense a massive but coming, because usually when things sound this good in tech, there's a catch.
There is always a catch. We have to look at the so what here. Speed is great, but what about quality?
Right. If I build a house in a day, is it going to fall down next week?
The data suggests that maybe it will. Studies referenced in the Bamanda Guide show that AI-generated code has approximately 1.7 times more issues than human-written code. We're talking bugs, security flaws, and severe readability issues.
1.7 times more issues. That is significant. That's almost double the failure rate.
It is. And this leads to what people are calling the vibe coding hangover.
I love that term. Paint the picture for me. What does that hangover actually feel like?
Imagine it's Friday night. You have an idea. You vibe code for 4 hours straight. It's flowing. The app works. You feel like an absolute genius.
Sounds like a great Friday.
Right. But then Monday morning comes around. You open the code to add a specific feature or fix a weird bug, and you realize you have absolutely no idea how any of it works.
It's a complete mess.
It works, but it's a Frankenstein creation. It's bloated. It's inefficient. The AI might have used 3 different ways to do the exact same thing because you prompted it 3 different times.
Ah, I see.
And because you didn't write it line by line, you don't have the mental map to fix it easily.
You're lost in your own city.
Exactly. There's a quote from Simon Willison that really stuck out to me in the notes. He draws a pretty hard line in the sand about this whole concept.
Yeah, let's hear it.
He says, if you actually review, test, and understand the code, that's not vibe coding. That's just using an LLM as a really good typing assistant.
Ouch. So pure vibe coding implies blind trust.
In its purest form, yes. And that's where the real danger lies. If you are just vibing, you are accepting the output without scrutiny. You're assuming the machine knows best.
Let's talk about those risks, because Frankenstein code sounds bad for maintenance, but are there actual real-world dangers? Or is it just ugly code?
Security is the big one.
Yeah.
LLMs hallucinate. We know this. But in this context, they might hallucinate a software dependency that doesn't actually exist. Or worse, they use an insecure pattern that was patched years ago simply because their training data is from 2023.
I've heard about these hallucinated packages. That's where the AI tells you to install a library that doesn't exist, and hackers actually create malicious versions of those fake libraries just to trap people, right?
Exactly. It's called package squatting. If you just copy-paste, install this library without checking if it's real, you might be installing malware directly into your company's core app.
Terrifying.
There have been actual vulnerabilities found in apps built with Lovable and Orchids, specifically because the AI just missed something basic regarding security.
And there's also the human element to consider here, skill atrophy.
Yes, and this is a controversial one. The METR research suggests that developers can sometimes be 19% slower with heavy AI use.
Slower. But the whole point of this is speed. How can they be slower?
Because reading code is fundamentally harder than writing code. If the AI spits out 500 lines of complex logic and there's a tiny bug in line 402, you have to read and understand all of it to find that bug.
Oh, right.
If you didn't write it, that takes a massive amount of cognitive effort to reverse engineer what the machine was trying to do.
So you save time on the typing, but you lose it all on the debugging.
And the long-term risk is that if you stop writing code, you stop thinking like a programmer. You lose that deep knowledge over time. You lose the intuition of why something is broken.
It's like using GPS. If you use it every single day, you eventually forget how to navigate your own neighborhood. You become completely dependent on it.
Precisely. And then there's the financial angle. The guide mentions this concept of vibe valuation.
Oh, this sounds like a bubble waiting to pop.
It refers to startups being valued purely on the hype of their AI-generated prototypes rather than their actual metrics or technical solidity. Investors see a flashy demo built in a day, and they throw money at it, not realizing the code underneath is just a house of cards.
So we have this incredible power, but it comes with a hangover, severe security risks, and it's potentially making us dumber and financially reckless. How do we do this safely? Is there a middle ground here?
Absolutely. The guide calls it responsible vibe coding. And the solution is actually pretty simple. You need a hybrid approach. You have to know when to wear which hat.
Okay, break that down for me. When do I vibe and when do I code?
Use the pure vibes approach for ideation and prototypes. When you are just trying to see if an idea has legs, go nuts. Let the AI do everything. Speed is the only thing that matters in that phase.
Right, getting from 0 to 1.
Exactly. But, and this is the crucial part, you have to switch modes when you move to production.
So once it becomes a real thing that real people use, you have to put the engineer hat back on.
Yes. You need a definition of done. Responsible vibe coding means you always write clear, highly detailed prompts. You don't just say, make it work.
Yeah.
You say, make it work using this specific library, handling these specific edge cases, and ensuring user data is encrypted.
So you have to act like a senior architect giving instructions to a junior developer.
That's the perfect analogy. Treat the AI like a brilliant but slightly erratic intern. You trust them to do the heavy lifting, but you verify absolutely everything.
And I assume version control is non-negotiable in this workflow.
Religiously. You need to be able to roll back when the vibes inevitably go bad. Review the diffs, the actual line-by-line changes the AI makes. Add tests. The expert take here is that the best vibe coders are actually the strongest architects. You need to know enough to know what you are asking for.
So you can't just be an idea guy. You still need to understand the structure of the house, even if the robots are laying all the bricks.
Exactly. If you don't know the difference between a load-bearing wall and drywall, you're going to have a serious problem when the wind blows.
This has been incredibly eye-opening. I think for a lot of people, this is both thrilling and pretty terrifying. So to wrap this up, what does this all mean for the future of our jobs?
It means the boring parts of development are being replaced. Boilerplate, syntax errors, spending hours looking up documentation, that's all gone. But it doesn't replace the need for thinking. In fact, clear thinking is now more valuable than ever. If you can articulate exactly what you want, you have a superpower.
I love that. So here's the action plan for you listening right now. We don't want you to just listen to this deep dive and nod along. We want you to try it.
Yes, get your hands dirty.
All
That's
right.
honestly the only way to understand the nuance here.
Pick one platform this week. Maybe Google AI Studio if you're brand new to this, or Cursor if you're feeling brave and want to see what the pros use, and just build a tiny app.
Keep it super simple. A meme generator, a to-do list for your grocery shopping. Don't try to build the next Facebook.
Just something small. Build it just to feel the power of that. Say, run workflow, but then take a look at the code it generated. Try to read it. See if you can actually understand what the machine did.
That's how you master it. Iterate on your own understanding, not just the app.
Before we go, I want to leave you with a final thought. We've talked a lot today about how this removes limits, but I want to ask you, the listener. If AI is handling all the implementation, if it represents the how are we entering an era where the only limit is the quality of your ideas, or are we creating a future of software that no human being actually understands?
That is the question of the decade right there. Are we the masters, or are we just the prompt engineers?
Definitely something to mull over while you're vibe coding your next masterpiece this weekend. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.
Catch you in the next deep dive.